The first question. Those who dare give nothing are left with less than nothing. Dear heart, you give me everything, which leaves you more than everything. Though those who dare give nothing might judge it left you nothing. Giving you everything, I too, who once had nothing, am left with more than everything, as gifts for those with nothing, who need, if not our everything, at least a loving something. This poem is by Robert Graves. What is the source of your infinite spring of giving? The source is always the same. We are just like rays of the same sun. The source of existence is what we call God. It is better to call it the ultimate source, from where everything comes and to where everything returns. But the man who starts thinking himself separate from the source is bound to become miserly. Not knowing that he is part of the source, he becomes very small, afraid to give. Then his mathematics is, if you give, you will have less. If you go on giving, one day you will be a beggar. Not knowing of the infinite source is the cause of our miserliness. And to be a miser is to be in misery, because the person who cannot give becomes incapable of receiving. The person who cannot give becomes closed. He is afraid to give. He has to be very cautious to keep his windows and doors closed, tightly closed, so nothing escapes from him. But these are the same doors from where things come. If you keep your doors closed, the sun rays will not reach you. The wind will not come to you. You will not be able to see the stars and the flowers, and the fragrance will not float in your being. The miserly person is bound to be in misery. He is cut off. He lives as if a tree without roots, ungrounded, uprooted. His life is nothing but a process of slow dying. He does not know anything of abundant life. Jesus says to his disciples, "Come, follow me, and I will give you abundant life." What he means by abundant life, he simply means that if your ego can be surrendered, if you can drop the idea of being separate from existence, in that very dropping, you become open. Open to give, open to receive. And the ultimate miracle is, the more you give, the more you receive. The more you give, the more you become worthy of receiving. It is like a well. You can lock the well, you can cover it up in fear. Maybe the coming year there are not going to be any rains. It is better, advisable to preserve your water in the well, to prevent your neighbors, to prevent everybody from drinking or taking water from your well. You can keep the well closed, but when the time of need will arise, you will be surprised. The well water is no more worth drinking. It has become poisoned. And moreover, the well has lost its springs. If you go on drawing water from the well, the springs go on feeding it. The more you draw the water, the bigger springs go on opening up. Your well is just a small window in the ocean, a far away window. It is connected with the ocean. If you create the vacuum in the well, if you go on emptying it, then the waters will be rushing from all sides to fill it up. Nature abhors vacuum. Physically, spiritually, on every dimension and plane. You be empty and you will be surprised. The emptier you are, the more full you will be. Hence, by giving, you don't have less. By giving, you have more. By giving, you don't become a beggar. By giving, you become an emperor. Gautama the Buddha came to visit Vaishali, one of the big, beautiful capitals of those days. The king of Vaishali was very egoistic. He was not willing to go to receive the Buddha to his capital. His chief minister, an old man of the age of his father, who has looked about his affairs his whole life since he was just a child, because when he was a child his father died. He was almost like a father to him. He respected the old man. The old man said, "If you don't go to receive the Buddha, then take my resignation." The king was puzzled. He could not believe. Why this insistence? He said, "Why should a king go to receive a beggar?" The old man laughed and he said, "It is just the opposite. You are a beggar and he is the king, and the beggar has to go to receive the king. He is the king because he has given. He is the king because he goes on giving. The more he has given, the more he has. Either see the point, or this is my resignation, because I cannot serve a fool." The king understood the point. He went, he fell unto the feet of Buddha and he said, "Excuse me, forgive me. I had always thought that you are just a beggar. Now I can see I am a beggar because I go on clinging to whatsoever small things I have got. By not clinging, you have declared your real power, your mastery. Clinging shows that you are not really the master but a slave. The king asked Buddha, bless me so that one day I can also become an emperor like you. This poem by Robert Graves is beautiful. Poets come far closer to the truth than the philosophers, than the theologians, than the priests, than the scholars, the so-called learned people. Poets are a little bit crazy. That's why they can have few glimpses of the beyond. They are not logical. Hence, they can comprehend something which is bigger than logic. Theologians, philosophers, scholars, they are just fools hiding their foolishness. And it is because of these so-called learned people that the world has become so poor. Physically, spiritually, in every way. Just the other day I was reading a news item from Pakistan. It says, great scholars of morality are nowadays busy banishing the word ishq, love, from prose and poetry prescribed for university students in Pakistan. Ishq is far more significant than the word love. Love is only one of the dimensions of ishq. Love means of the world. Ishq has two aspects. Either it can be an ordinary love, a love between a man and a woman, or it can be a love between man and existence. Banishing the very word ishq from all prose and poetry prescribed for the university courses is such a foolish idea. And these are the great scholars of morality. I was puzzled because if you banish the word ishq, then particularly in the language that is spoken in Pakistan, that is the official language of Pakistan, Urdu, there will not be left anything at all. Because the whole Urdu poetry and prose is centered on the word ishq. All the great poets from Mir and Ghalib to Iqbal will have to be banished. In fact, no other language of the world has such beautiful poetry as Urdu. Urdu is tremendously expressive. Just in a small 2 lines, Urdu can say more than any language can manage to say in the whole page. It is very telegraphic. And it is full of love. Banish the word love, and you banish all the great poets, all the great mystics. You will have to banish all the Sufis because they talk about love. And they are not only banishing poetry's prose devoted to love. Even the word love, isk, has to be removed. Even the mention of the word. These are the fools who have been dominating humanity for centuries. They would like to destroy even the possibility of love. There is a certain logic in it, because humanity up to now has existed in a very insane way. It has been preparing continuously for war. There are only two periods in history. Either people are fighting, that is wartime, hot wars, or people are preparing for the war that is going to happen sooner or later. You can call it peacetime, but it is not peacetime at all. It is only a gap between two wars. It is needed, because unless you prepare how you are going to fight, it is Cold War. The whole human history up to now can be divided into two periods: hot war, Cold War. And because man has been continuously fighting, destroying, murdering, there is no possibility to grow roses of love. We have to make factories for war. We have to create soldiers, not lovers. My sannyasins are lovers, not soldiers. They herald a new beginning. To me, love is synonymous with God. These words of graves are tremendously significant. Those who dare give nothing are left with less than nothing. They look a little crazy because they are illogical, they are unmathematical, but they are absolutely true. They transcend the ordinary economic and its laws. They indicate towards a meta-economics. Those who dare give nothing are left with less than nothing. Beware. While the time is there, give as much as you can. Give whatsoever you can. Sing a song, share a joke, dance. Give whatsoever you can give. It costs nothing for you, but it will bring you more and more joys. Existence goes on repaying you tremendously. Whatsoever you give to existence, it returns thousandfold. It comes back to you. You give one flower and 1,000 flowers shower on you. Don't be clingers. If you really want to be rich, if you want to have an enriched inner world, then learn the art of giving. Those who dare give nothing are left with less than nothing. Dear heart, you give me everything, which leaves you more than everything. Though those who dare give nothing might judge it left you nothing. Giving you everything are two who once had nothing and left with more than everything, as gifts for those with nothing who need, if not our everything, at least a loving something. I don't have any other source than you have, but you are not ready accept that source. It goes against your ego. You want to be an island unto yourself, and that's your misery. That's your poverty. Your soul will remain undernourished. You will not know how beautiful the existence was, how blissful every moment can be, what an ecstasy it is just to breathe and to be. Give. Give for giving's sake. Share for sharing's sake. Don't ask anything in return, because then it becomes a business. And love is not a business. In fact, there is no need to be worried whether anything returns or not, because the very giving is such an ecstasy. Who cares whether anything returns or not? Be obliged to the person who receives anything from you. Don't think that he has to be obliged to you. That is wrong. That is absolutely wrong. That is still clinging to the miser's mind. You can be as vast as God Himself, but your vastness is possible only if you start giving. And it is not a question of what you give. Just a smile, or just a gesture of love is enough. It costs nothing to be loving, to be kind, and still it brings you a great harvest. Thousands of flowers start blossoming in your being. You ask me, Bhagavan, what is the source of your infinite spring of giving? I am not the source. I am not at all. Because the more you are, the less is the flow from the source. The less you are, the more the flow from the source. When you are not at all, then you are just a hollow bamboo which becomes a flute on the lips of God. Then the song starts flowing. And to sing the song of God, to allow God to sing a song through you, is the greatest joy of life. The second question. You often tell us that we lost our awareness of our Buddha nature because of conditioning processes of every kind. This far I can imagine. But if mankind originally had this awareness, how did we lose it in the beginning? How did conditioning start originally? And if the existence is just a flowing, why is it important that many people become enlightened? Why do you make the effort, or don't you make any? And is your being here and everything also just a flowing? To know is one thing, and to imagine is totally different. Imagination can deceive you. It can go on giving you false coins. But remember, all that glitters is not gold. Imagination can give you very glittering coins, but they will not be real gold. You will have to know. And my knowing cannot be of any help to you. The moment I share my knowing to you, in you only imagination will be triggered. You will start imagining. There is no need to ask me why it had happened originally. You can go to the origin within yourself and see why it happens. It is not a question of going into the past, going back to Adam and Eve. You have to go within yourself, because it is happening every moment. You are at the source, at the very origin of things, and still you are conditioned. And if you can watch the process within yourself, you will have known the whole history. And then you will be able to understand the story, the biblical story, which is really beautiful and significant. How Adam and Eve became conditioned. It was God the Father who started the whole nonsense. In the Garden of Eden, there were millions of trees, and he pointed particularly two trees, that fruits from these trees are not to be eaten. One was the tree of knowledge, and the other was tree of immortal life. My feeling is, if God had not prohibited, Adam and Eve would not have been able even now to find out those two trees in that tremendously vast garden. But because he pointedly said to them, don't eat the fruit from these two trees, naturally they became obsessed. It must have started their fantasies. They must have started dreaming about those two trees. They must have started thinking, why God has prohibited us? There must be something in it. I was a small child, and my father told me that, listen, you are moving with few people who smoke cigarettes. Don't ever start smoking. I said, you have started me on. I had never thought about it. In fact, I have always thought how foolish these people are. Rather than breathing the pure air, they waste money and breathe smoke. And then taking the smoke in and out looks very stupid. Things like that have always looked stupid to me. From my very childhood, I have never been part of any game, volleyball or football, because I cannot imagine what is the point. You throw the ball from here to the other side, they throw the ball to this side. You both can have two balls and go home. What is the point of... And people are perspiring and not only the players, others have gathered to see. So I told my father that I was never interested, but now, because you tell me not to smoke, I am going to. Why you are preventing me? If there is nothing, can't you trust my intelligence? And if you cannot trust my intelligence, why should I trust your intelligence? It has to be a mutual understanding. You are not trusting my intelligence. You are telling me not to smoke. If it is foolish, I am not going to do it myself. If it is not foolish, then nobody can prevent me. And how long you can prevent me? In what ways you can prevent me? And he understood the point. He was a rare man in many ways. And he brought home a packet of cigarette and handed it over to me. And he said, you experiment. You be finished with it. I have understood your point. And I tried and I was finished. Because tears started coming to my eyes. I started coughing. And I could not understand why people should do such stupid things and torture themselves. Since then, whenever I see anybody smoking, I think he must be an ascetic, a great saint, doing some penance. But Adam and Eve were treated by God the Father as every father treats every child. No father trusts the intelligence of the child, and in fact the child has more intelligence than the father, because the father has lived, experienced many things. His mirror has become covered with many experiences, with much knowledge. His clarity is no more the same as that of the child. The child is utterly perceptive. He can see immediately. There is nothing to hinder. The father's intelligence is covered with much dust. But from the father's side, he feels afraid. He thinks the child is still a child, not knowing what to do, what not to do. He may go astray. Out of his concern, he prevents. And that's how conditioning begins. The biblical story is significant. It is not a historical story, because the world has never begun in that sense. It has always been there. There is no beginning and no end. The whole idea of beginning and end is absurd. The world is eternal. But the story is significant, and it is repeated in each child's life. It is a psychological story, not historical, of tremendous importance. Every father every mother is doing the same. I have come across thousands of parables, but there is no parable comparable to this story. The father is afraid that Adam and Eve should not become interested in two things. One is the tree of knowledge. Because the moment you become knowledgeable, you lose your intelligence. That's my whole teaching. Unburden yourself from knowledge so that you can again discover the purity of your intelligence. Wisdom is freedom from knowledge, and God wanted Adam to be wise, not knowledgeable. He wanted him to be intelligent, not an intellectual. Hence he prohibited him, don't eat from the tree of knowledge. This is significant. It shows the father's concern, his love, but it also shows that he does not trust the child's own perceptiveness. No father ever trusts. No mother ever trusts. Howsoever old the son may be, Makima's mother Sunyo, she is old, must be going beyond 65. And her mother, who is 90, goes on writing to her letters that you are still a fool. What you are doing there? Come home. Have you gone crazy or something? I have always known that you will do something like this. Now the 90-year-old mother giving messages to the 70-year-old daughter. But one can see the point because the distance is the same, 20 years distance. When Sunyo must have been 1 year old, the mother was 21-year-old. Now she is 70, the mother is 90. When she will be 90, if the mother still is alive, she will be 110. The difference will remain the same. And the mother will always go on thinking in terms that she is a fool. She does not know anything. Now what she is doing with these orange people and meditating and wearing orange clothes, she has gone crazy. And the mother wants to protect. The father was concerned for Adam and Eve. And his concern is significant. Don't become knowledgeable. A tremendously meaningful story. Because if you become knowledgeable, you will lose intelligence. Intellectuals have no intelligence at all. I have come across thousands of intellectuals, the so-called intelligentsia, and they are the most stupid people you can ever come across. You will find farmers, gardeners, carpenters far more intelligent than professors, theologians, scholars. They are full of rubbish. Of course, they have read much and they can repeat all that they have read. They have great information. But information is not wisdom. Information can be collected by a computer and far more efficiently. But a computer is never wise. I don't think there will come any time when you will come across a computer who has become a Buddha. It is not going to happen ever. Yes, a computer can become an Albert Einstein. Certainly. There is no doubt about it, and he will function far better than Albert Einstein. Because it will be just a mechanical thing. Mathematics is mechanical. But love is not mechanical. No computer is going to fall in love. No computer is going to experience beauty. No computer is going to understand truth. Yes, facts it can accumulate. And God wanted Adam and Eve not to become computers. Hence he told them that beware of this tree. But his telling that don't eat from this tree of knowledge became a temptation. That's how conditioning begins. With should nots. With all good intentions. But the ultimate result is harmful. Even God committed the same mistake. He has to commit if he had to be a father. And he is the supreme father. Hence he committed the supreme mistake. And the poor serpent is unnecessarily dragged in the story. It has nothing to do with the serpent. How the serpent can seduce Adam and Eve to eat the fruit from the tree of knowledge? God had already done the basic work. He has already triggered their desires for knowledge. The serpent only convinced them about their own suspicions. The serpent told them something very significant. He told them that God has prohibited you not to eat from this tree because he is afraid if you become knowledgeable, you will be just as great as he. So he wants to eat himself the fruit of this tree, and he does not want you to eat from the same tree. So you remain always inferior and lower. Now the ego is put on fire. And the logic seems to be very relevant. Adam and Eve are convinced that this must be the cause. Knowledge cannot be a bad thing. How can knowledge be bad? God must be afraid. That's why he has prevented. And the serpent told the second tree also, he has prevented you not to eat from it because if you eat from it, you will become also immortals, just like God. Then there will be no difference between you and God. You will be equal. Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge and were thrown out of the Garden of Eden. They were not given the chance to eat from the other tree. But why God had prevented from the other tree? There is also some significance. From his side, God wanted them to live in the immediate, because that is true life, to live now and here. The moment you start thinking of immortality, you enter into the world of the future. You enter into the world of time. You lose contact with the real moment. You lose your grounding in the now. And that's how mind is created. These are the two ways in which the mind is created. These are the two parents, father and mother. They give birth to mind. One is the desire for the future. The desire, the ultimate desire to become deathless. So the future is absolutely certain. And the second, the desire to accumulate knowledge. These two desires function as father and mother for the mind. The mind is a child out of these two desires meeting. The mind is a byproduct. God was right, basically. He wanted Adam and Eve to live in the present. Because the reality is always present. But he was also wrong psychologically to tell them not to eat from the tree of immortality. Made them suspicious, and the suspicion was exploited by the serpent. Of course, they were thrown out before they could eat from the second tree, but since then man has been searching for immortality. Still the search goes on. Science is still working continuously to find a way, first how to prolong life longer and longer and longer, and then ultimately how to make life immortal. And now science says that the body has no need to die. Maybe they have come very close to the tree of knowledge and to the tree of immortality. Science says the body can go on renewing itself. If it can renew for 70 years, why not 700 years? Or if some parts become useless, then they can be replaced. Sooner or later, science is going to replace many of your parts. It will be very simple then. Something goes wrong, you go to the workshop and your parts can be replaced. Your heart is not functioning well, you go to the garage and a plastic heart can be implanted in you. Slowly, all the parts will become plastic, because plastic is the most immortal thing in existence. It goes on living and living. You cannot destroy plastic. There is no natural process for plastic to get dissolved into earth. That is creating a problem for ecologists, because so many plastic bottles and jugs and toys are gathering inside the earth, in the river beds, underneath the ocean, that a danger is there, because plastic is never reabsorbed as everything else is reabsorbed by the earth. So it creates a hindrance into the natural rhythm and cycle of nature. Sooner or later there will be so much plastic that it will hinder all natural processes. Plastic is very immortal. But just think of a man who slowly becomes plastic. His head goes cuckoo, it is changed. His heart is not functioning well, it is changed. His hands, his legs, slowly, all is changed. Nothing is left of the old man. Just the name is left, the label. Once I saw Mullah Nasruddin with a very beautiful umbrella, and I asked him, Nasruddin, when you purchased it? He said, I have not purchased it. It is very old, 20 years old. So I said, it is a miracle. 20 years old, it looks so fresh and so new. How you managed it for 20 years? He said, absolutely certain I am it is 20 years old. Of course, at least 200 times it got changed. Just the other day, when I was coming out of the mosque, it got changed again. But it is 20 years old. Man can be changed, and still the label will remain the same. Man is coming closer and closer to discover the secret of immortality. Scientists say that if we can reprogram the basic cell out of which man grows, then everything is possible. When your mothers and your fathers' basic cells meet and you are created, many things are determined at that moment. For example, what kind of body you will have, what kind of hairs you will have, how long you will live. Those two cells meeting and merging decide. They are programmed. Their meeting becomes a new program. 70 years, 80 years you will live. If that program can be changed, for example, if they can be told that you will live 700 years, just a little change in some hormones, in some chemicals, and that will do the miracle. And it is very close. My feeling is within this century, we will be able to discover the secret. Since Adam was thrown out of the garden, he has been working, looking, searching for some way to find the secret of immortality. In the past, alchemists were doing the same, trying to find the way, some alchemical way, so man can be immortal. And now science is trying to do the same. The obsession is still there. You ask me, Corey, how it started originally. It starts with every child, because the parents would like the child to be just a carbon copy of them. Their ego would like the child just to represent them. Their philosophy, their religion, their ideology, their politics, their nationality, their race, everything. The child has to be the carrier, the vehicle, the medium of all their ambitions and desires, of all their frustrations, failures. They are hoping that we will die, but part of us will live in the child. So program the child in such a way that what we have not been able to achieve, he will achieve. They are trying to enforce their ambitions on the child. That's how conditioning begins. They are not allowing the child to be himself. No parent ever allows the child to be himself. It has not happened up to now. That's why humanity is living in such misery. Because no child is allowed to be himself, how he can be happy? Happiness happens only when you are authentically yourself. And don't ask me how it happened in the very beginning, because there has been no beginning. Whenever a child is born, there is a beginning. Otherwise, existence has continued forever and forever. And you also ask, and if the existence is just a flowing, why is it important that many people become enlightened? That's why. Existence is just a flowing, and many people are not flowing. Only the Buddhas know how to flow. The enlightened person knows how to flow, how to be in tune with existence, how to relax, how to let go. The others are fighting, not flowing. They are pushing the river. And you are taught to fight, to compete, to struggle, to achieve, to be ambitious, to be this, to be that, to become a president or a prime minister. You are told from the very beginning, till you come back from the university, that you have to become this, and others are deciding it. Nobody is bothered about your intrinsic nature. It is as if marigolds are being educated in the university and told become roses. They will go berserk. They cannot become roses. That is not possible. At the most they can pretend. They can pretend that they are roses. They can put up masks. They will become deceivers, hypocrites. But deep down they will know that we are marigolds. And they will hate that they are marigolds. But that's what they are. They cannot become the roses because that is not in their nature. And they cannot allow their marigolds to dance in the sun because that is against their education. You have created a real problem. Now the person will always remain schizophrenic. If he tries to be a rose, he will know that he is just a hypocrite. If he tries to be a marigold, he will know that he is falling short of the ambitions of his parents, teachers, professors, priests, politicians, he will feel guilty. You will not allow him rest in any way. Either he will feel guilty or he will feel unnatural. In both the ways, he will remain tense, anxiety-ridden, full of anguish. The same energy that may have become a dance, a song, an ecstasy, has become poisoned. It is now only anguish and nothing else, and agony and nothing else. Enlightenment does not mean any ambition. If it is an ambition, then again you will start fighting for it. Enlightenment simply means being in a state of let go. Enlightenment simply means undoing what the society has done to you, what your parents have imposed upon you. Throw it away. What the society has conditioned you to be, put it aside. Reassert your being. Love yourself and respect yourself. And try to be just yourself. Socrates says, know thyself. That is not possible. First be thyself. Otherwise, how you will know? If right now you try to know yourself, you will not be able to know yourself. You will know somebody else which you are not, but you are supposed to be. You will know only that which you are supposed to be. You will not know yourself. Hence I say to you, first be thyself. And the miracle is, if you are just yourself, knowing is not difficult at all. That is very simple. Being oneself, one knows automatically who one is. Enlightenment is not a desire, is not a goal, is not an ambition. It is dropping of all goals, dropping of all desires, dropping of all ambitions. It is just being natural. That's what is meant by flowing. You ask, and if the existence is just a flowing? Yes, it is. Why is it important that many people become enlightened? It is important because people are not natural. They have not been allowed to be natural. Your parents are sitting on your shoulders. They are guiding you. Maybe they are dead, but still their voice is alive in you. Try to do something against your father, and you will immediately hear his voice saying, don't do this, you are offending me. Try to do something with your mother has put inside you, and immediately you will hear your mama's voice. Immediately, whether she is alive or not, that's not the question. It is now inbuilt in you. It is there like a gramophone record. It will immediately start playing. It will immediately say, stop. Think of your dead mother. She never wanted you to do this. Be respectful at least to your dead mother. You were never respectful while she was alive, but at least now one should be respectful towards the dead. This is bondage. But everybody is living in bondage. Because everybody who has brought you up wanted to be powerful over you, enjoyed the mastery over you. And children are the most helpless people in the world. The most exploited class. It is not the proletariats who are the most exploited class. It is not women who are the most exploited class. It is the children who are the most exploited class. I am so helpless because proletariats can revolt. They have revolted in Russia, in China, in other communist countries. The women all over the world are making efforts to revolt. But it is impossible to think how children will revolt. They are so helplessly dependent on the parents. They cannot think of any revolt. And unless revolution happens there, all other revolutions are going to be superficial. Because the basic conditioning, the basic imprisonment is created in the childhood. When the child is so helpless that he has to accept whatsoever conditions you put upon him just to survive. Enlightenment simply means putting aside all that has been imposed upon you forcibly. It is coming back to your nature. It is a second birth. Jesus says, unless you are born again, you shall not enter into my kingdom of God. That's what he means. In the East, particularly in India, the person who comes to know existence is called Dvija. Dvija means twice born, one who has attained the second birth. The first birth is destroyed by others. Now you can have a second birth and it will not be destroyed by others, because now you are on your feet, strong enough to survive. You ask me, why do you make the effort, or don't you make any? And is your being here and everything also just a flowing? I am not making any effort at all. It is not an effort. It is not work. It is just play. I am enjoying it. It is a beautiful drama. These orange people, this Buddha hall, this is just a stage, and all my sannyasins are just actors. It is just a play. It is rooted in playfulness. I am not doing anything. I am the laziest person you can find in the world. That's why I say I am the lazy man's guide to enlightenment. The third question. You say that one needs a master in order to become enlightened. Yet you are enlightened and you have had no master. How can this be? I am just crazy. I was just fooling around with the idea of enlightenment and went a little too far. An unhappy elderly woman was pushing a baby in a carriage down the street when she encountered an acquaintance. Whose baby is it, Mrs. Johnson? Asked the other. I know it is not yours. It is, my dear, said Mrs. Johnson. It is my husband. He was fooling around with a rejuvenation remedy and he went too far. The last question. Why there are so many Jews here? Why not? The last time they missed Jesus, this time they don't want to miss. It is so simple. And they are very intelligent people. Once they missed, and they really missed, and they feel very sorry, because if they had been with Jesus, they would have done the greatest business in the world. They feel very jealous of Vatican. They cannot believe how these dumb Italians defeated them. It was basically their right. This time they don't want to miss. They have arrived. A Jewish father and his son are standing in front of a cathedral. Father, what is this house with the high steeples? Son, you should know this. It is a church. What is a church? Well, the Christians say that God lives there. But father, is not God living in heaven? Yes, son, you are right. But this is where he does his business. They are really one of the most intelligent people on the earth. Hence, they can see what is going to happen. During World War II, a German officer went into Moshe Finkelstein's grocery shop to buy some matches. Matches, he ordered. Finkelstein passed him some matches. I want the tips on the left side instead of the right, the officer demanded. Finkelstein acted as though he was finding another box of matches, but instead he gave the officer back the same box of matches, reversed. Satisfied, the officer left the shop. Once outside, he said to his friend, "Fucking Jews, always trying to fool you." Enough for today.